Hello and welcome to this module on HTML links and anchors. It's part of the HTML fundamentals course. My name is Matt Milner and we're going to walk through connecting these HTML documents together. When we start to connect documents together, we're going to use the notion of anchors. Anchors provide both a jumping off point or starting point for a link as well as a target for links. So we'll see how to link one document to another, but we'll also see how to link within a document or link from one document to a particular point in another document, not just the start of the page. The whole promise of the World Wide Web was to have this web of documents that were all connected together. So we need to be able to link from our document to other documents. We need to be able to link to our document from other documents. And ideally, we want to be able to link within documents as well, especially as they get lengthy. Anchors are the key way that's going to enable us to do that. Now, an anchor can either be a source or a target for linking. You think about your experience on the web, a source is one of those clickable links, something you can engage with and have it then take you to some other resource or other item on the web. A target is the thing you're actually trying to get to. The way we represent this in our HTML is we use the A or the anchor tag, and we can use that with a name to specify a target. This is a location within a document where you can link to. If we use the anchor tag or the A tag with an href attribute, where we provide a URI to a particular document, or a document plus another anchor name, then we use that as the source. That's where you'd see that clickable link by default in your documents that you're viewing. When we create these links, so we're looking at our HTML document. In our example, that's our large orange document here in the middle. We want to be able to link to other documents, maybe within our own website or somewhere else on the web. Those links, then when we create them, can be either absolute or relative. Now, an absolute link is where we provide the absolute full path to a particular HTML document. You can see in this example, we're providing the protocol with HTTP and the server name and the actual path to the document here for page 1 HTML. That's going to allow us to go reference that page on some other server. But if we assume that we have these other files, file 1 and file 2 here on the left, in a content folder, then we can use a relative path such as this, which says relative to the current document I'm in. The reference is I'm in this, starting in my directory. I'm going to look in the content folder and then find this file1.htm. So we have absolute, which you would use if you're going outside of your site, and relative paths, which you'll often want to use in your own site, which allows you to pick up your pages, move them to different servers, and have them located in different places. They're not then dependent on where they're hosted. And when we create those anchor tags, we certainly have the URI, but we also have the representation of the link. Is it some text that I can click on? Is it an image? Whatever we want it to be, that's what we include inside of the anchor tag. Its content becomes the source where we can click on that and follow the path. A note about relative URIs. Remember from the initial talk when we looked at the head element, we do have a base element that can go in the head of your document that provides the base path for any relative links. So if you didn't specify a base, everything would be relative to the document. If you specify the base element, any relative paths are going to be relevant to that, or relative rather, to that base URI. In my document here, my outline, you'll recall, we've got the outline of items. And what I want to be able to do is for the outline in here, I want to be able to create links to additional content, to pages that go over some more specifics. So for the lists and the text elements, I want to point to specific pages for those. Those specific pages happen to be in this content folder under lists.html and text.html. So let's go in and create our link. So my anchor tag, I'm going to provide an href, and that's going to be in content lists.html. and I'll close the anchor tag. So now I have this going to the content folder, lists.html, and the content of the anchor, this text, now becomes the thing that is the link. That's the thing that I can now click on in the browser and follow that particular link. Likewise, we'll put one up here. So that's going to be content, and that was text.html. And we'll close that out. We save that and then come back in and refresh. You can see now each of those is a link. If I go to the text elements, now I get a whole series of text filling up the pages there. If I navigate back and go to lists, now that takes me to the content lists HTML, and I get the information that's in that particular document. So that's pretty straightforward. We've now linked to those additional pages within our own site using that relative path. We switch back over and look. Just a couple things to note here. The dot in the path, as you probably know, indicates that we want to start in the current directory. So then we would go into content text.html. That works for relative, but I also want to, if we look in the background here, if you remember my superscripts that I put on the courses, I want to be able to use those as links as well. So let's go in here. I'm going to bring this down on another line because white space doesn't matter. And let's create an anchor. And we're going to put an href in there. And then we're going to have that, the one. I'm just doing this quite simply so we can see it before I put my long hrefs in here. Now these are going to refer to other courses out on the Pluralsight site. So they're not here local on my machine. They're going to be on a different server, and I therefore need to provide an absolute URI. Let me copy one and bring it in here. So here we've got the URI. We can see that it's going to have the full address. So now we give it the server name, pluralsighttraining.net, go into the courses, and we have the course name and the title there. So this URI, notice, doesn't have a .htm or any extension on it. That's okay. Still a valid URI to that particular course info. Now we can paste in here. That's our CSS course. Now we'll paste in here and we'll go into our HTTP fundamentals. We'll save that, switch back over here to the browser. And notice now that those items are links. I get the nice little glove that indicates that I can click them. If I follow the first one, we've got all the information on our Introduction to CSS course. And if I follow the second one, of course, we get the information on the HTTP Fundamentals course. So now I have links from my document that point out to other servers and other content using absolute URIs. And I have links that point to other content on my site using relative URIs. We've seen how to link from one document to another. We can also link within documents using those anchor tags. When we have a named anchor, we can simply reference that as our href in the source anchor. We use the hash or pound symbol plus the name as our href, and that allows us to navigate to that particular item. We can also append a named anchor onto the href for another page and navigate into that page to the named anchor. Now typically these are named anchor elements, but you can also link to other elements in the page based on their ID, and I'll show you that in a demonstration.